So what have we here? I have just unboxed a brand new Alto Venova. So let's put the mouthpiece on. Now, for those of you who don't know, we already sell a very highly successful product called the Venova. And I'd advise you to go to Mike Brown's excellent video on the subject where he does a nice demonstration and a good description of what the instrument basically is. And simply today I'm doing the same thing but for an alto version. So it's a little bit longer. It's actually in the key of F as opposed to in the key of C. So you've got basically an extra half octave of depth over and above the standard Venova. So just in basic summary, what is a Venova? Well, it is a recorder-like instrument that utilizes recorder-style fingerings but with a saxophone mouthpiece, and a unique piece of engineering in the form of this squiggly bore that you see running underneath the instrument. And I'm going to just go into this squiggly bore in a little bit, but no, in fact, I'm going to go into it right now because it is really the crucial sort of aspect that defines the sound of the Venova, if you like me. And I would say that there's two aspects to this squiggly bit underneath. The first one is that without it wrapping around itself and creating this squiggly line like this, the instrument would actually be very long. It would be more like the length of a soprano, probably around here. And the idea of this instrument is it's much more of a sort of casual wind instrument, I believe is the way Yamaha describe it. And if it was that long, it would be no good just to sling around the house, perhaps take traveling, that sort of thing, if you just want to pick up something and then just have a play on it straight away. In this format, it's very compact and very sort of immediate feeling, and it's just got a label written all over it saying, "Pick me up and play me now." So that's the first thing. But then the second thing is, I think the squiggliness of this bore has an effect on the tone. If you think of the comparison between a straight soprano and a curved soprano, with a straight soprano the sound is very sort of sonorous and almost sort of alpine horn-like, whereas if you think of the curved soprano, there's much more razziness and sort of brightness and edge to it. And that's because the sound waves go down the bore, they hit off the bottom, and then they come straight back up, and there's a sort of reflective quality when the sound waves hit the bottom of the sax and come back up. So if you sort of multiply that several times over, and then you've got the effect that's created within this Alto Venova, so it sort of gives it its saxy-like sound. Of course, we've got a saxophone mouthpiece, and that's going to help immeasurably. Just a few little pointers here in terms of the practicality of playing it. So it's got a 2-octave range, fully chromatic, but you do have to get used to one or two sort of cross fingerings. I'm just going to demonstrate a few here. So middle D, just like the saxophone middle D, and then we've got a hole on the back here, like an octave key if you like. But you have to do a little bit of clever half-holing sometimes in order to get the purest intonation. So for the D, I'm not going to press the octave key, I'm just going to put my thumb on the hole, then I'm going to move chromatically to the D sharp, and then I'm going to move on to the octave key, and you get a much smoother intonation shift. So here we go. You would have noticed that as I moved up to the G, we had an E here, we had an F here, and then the F sharp, rather than being in the middle, as in our saxophone, we have to slide our index finger like this. And there's a little hole there that vents, and that gives us our F to F sharp chromatic. The other thing that I have to point out in terms of sort of critique of the instrument is it's not perfect intonation-wise. There are a lot of sort of natural tuning issues They can all be fixed with the embouchure, but it does take some time to get used to it. As sax players, you shouldn't just expect to pick up this instrument and play it perfectly. You will sort of get yourself in a bit of muddle at first, as I have done over the last couple of days. But once you get your head around it and you realise that G sharp isn't on the side here, but it's down here and all the rest of it, it's fine. And then once you get used to the intonation where you have to lower lip up and lip down, it's also fine. So with all that said, I'm now going to demonstrate a piece.